Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about progress versus diversity part 3. I hope you have seen at least last part 2, but here is just a contextual awareness of it. Progress is a never-ending march, meaning there is no end point. You just keep going, it's moving. And what does it mean scientifically? It simply means do things with less energy and time as input, as in like how much time and energy you are putting into it. It should go down and it should have minimal amount of consequences. Like for example, we did air conditioning, it helped us save time and energy, but it had consequences. Then we upgraded the refrigerant. So progress, basically progress was AC also, and having natural refrigerant as in like CO2, methane and all that jazz, that made it even better. Again, progress, never ending much. And tomorrow we're gonna have something even better that consumes even less energy. So it's a ever expanding race, so to say. And diversity is basically outcome of human early starting point, as in we practically grew, all of us grew up in basically islands, even though you could walk. But like right now it's very easy for me to say, oh, I was traveling at 800 kilometer per hour. All of you will say, yeah, duh, like a commercial jet speed, duh. But that was not possible. So people were, even though like first they were surrounded by water only, because again any place else they could not survive. And that created the birth of language, the culture, and how you can understand how people will behave. See the scarcity and predators of it. Basically, how scarce the water is, that's the first time. Second, how many species are there that can shift delete that human. So that will give you a context of like why there are so much diversity, because even though technically we all have one DNA, it's just that our situation, that starting island, molded us. So, and then we started to create something very practical, which is money. Now here's the money itself is no value. Money is just trust in physical form. This was the most valuable aspect of it. Like once we started to grow, we started to create trust as a foundation, and money was like final form of it, as like, yeah, this is a trust. And how it can be trust? Well, here's the you and everyone around you has agreed to trust it collectively. Basically it's a collective agreement. For example, if you look into American dollar, it says in God we trust. You look into any sort of basically currency, even Indian rupee, it will have something like I promise to pay the bearer on demand, something this much. It will say that. So it's just trust, there's nothing more than. And again, if I tell you $100 trillion in American dollar, you'll be like, whoa, $100 trillion, you can buy this on eBay. So that's the whole point. Like why this dollar and this dollar does not, this has faith, this has value, because of trust that people put into it. This has zero trust, outcome is poo poo. So that's the whole point. It's always trust. And money does not solve problem. I have seen way too many elite idiots in Hollywood. It was like, oh, it's like only if money, we had the money to solve the problem. Money does not solve problem, trust does. To give you a concrete consequence of that, this is Pakistan and this is Japan. Now this is Japan, shift deleted after a boom boom devices. And but be mindful, boom devices were kind simply because it kaputted everything very quickly. And the fire booming was fire and shift deleting. That was much more clear and much more deadly. So that was bad. Okay, let's just put it that way. That was bad. And here's the deal. How the heck that same monument that survived the boom event, now there is civilization, a thriving, a growing civilization. But here's the funny thing. This is Pakistan. Pakistan got money from International Monetary Fund. Japan got money from International Monetary Fund. India got money from International Monetary Fund. Everybody got that after World War II. Why did America supported giving money to Japan? Simply because they did not wanted Germany 2.0. Basically, Germany World War I kaputted them so badly, they created Hein as a what you call replacement of that void. So people were like, hey, let's not make Japan 2.0. So they wanted to make sure that emperor remains ceremoniously and the country's transition to democracy, and there will be some checks and balances, but they do not full hardship that should have experienced by them. They did their best, and it worked out. Now why did it work out here and not here? Because here's the funny thing. If you take all the money, monetary amount, call that 1x, the money given to Japan, 5x was given to Pakistan. 5x, this much more to Pakistan. And it's still in a position where all it does every 6 months is like, okay, we had this issue and that issue is like, okay, can you please somebody give us monetary aid, international, like if I'm not mistaken, they are on 23rd loan from International Monetary Fund. So, and again, be mindful, there is no trust in the society. No Pakistani prime minister at this point in time has actually completed the full term of 5 years. Not a single one. from independence. And again, it got independence at the same time as India. And they were like very, almost like a child. It was like, okay, we're going to do it one day before you. So we are elder than you. It's like, yeah, you don't have food. Good luck. So that was the funny thing. And again, India also got loans and all that, but we paid it back. Now we are, financially contributing it. And people are like, oh, India has so many problems. Duh. If you say the country has problem, that's a good thing. That means country is growing. What, you ever hear bad things about Pakistan? Because they did. It's like you have to understand a growing thing will have problem. We are 75 years old and you are comparing it to every other major nation that did not had basically what should I say, Mughal Empire shift deleting our culture for 200 years, then East India Company is shift deleting us for another 200 years. After that we survived. So we good, bro. We good. In 75 years, the recovery, be mindful. At the time of independence, everybody was like, yeah, India is going to starve to death. We feed the world at this point in time. The amount of grains export we do, it's only matched by basically Ukraine and Russia. It's like bonkers amount of grain we export. And again, what about India have hunger? No, India does not have hunger. India has corruption. As in, like, if we reduce the corruption, if we basically we solve the production issue, it's just that we do not have everything sorted out to 100%. So that's the whole point. Money does not solve problem. Trust does. If people willingly come together and willingly agree to each other, it's like, I'm gonna help you. Like, I'm gonna watch out for my brother. The end. Problem is solved. It takes time, but it is done. Example: if you do not trust her, this ends. So let that be very clear. Trust is the only asset a civilization has. Everything else is nothing. Now, vulnerability. This is one weird part about trust. While trust is very powerful, it literally moves a nation, repairs a nation, and makes a civilization work. But it's also very fragile. This is almost like glass, like very like strong, hard, denser stuff. But if you crack it, it's very fragile. So trust is built by brick, year by year. It's like you have to do the right thing again and again, and years on end. Only then people will build up trust. And again, everybody in the supply chain has to do that. And I mean supply chain by everybody. As in like your bank color, you have to have trust in them. You have to trust in your shopkeeper. You have to, and again, all of them have to have trust on you. So this is something that takes a lot of time to build. It is not quick. It is not something that you can be rushed. There is no cheat code in this. This is old school. And one bad action can kaput everything back to zero. One bad action. And again, you will keep hearing people, especially people dealing with economics, they don't trust in the market. That's what they're talking about. If the political condition is stable, country will grow. Even if it's like some little inconvenience, so it would be like more like, a minor inconvenience. But if it's like country is not stable, no matter how much money you have, it's irrelevant. You will not risk it there. Again, trust in the market is low. So, and many children have this sort of a childish view of the world. Rules and regulation, like, can save it. Like, we're going to have rules against this. Again, when I was a child, I also used to think that. But you have to understand, rules only discourages betrayal. And be mindful, that is optimistically when things are working. And even if it is working, you still going to lose time. Time is the one thing that money does not buy. So, fundamentally, it's not solution. It's almost like you have to understand reality of situation. Reality is that all societies can tolerate some level of corruption. All society. It's not like India is 100% corrupt, because we would not be here. We would not be in a situation where we are talking about like, hey, ISRO can do much better. We would not have ISRO. So, we could say Indian Railway could do better. It's like we would not have Indian Railway. So fundamentally, there are a lot of things like that. So every culture, every society can tolerate some amount of corruption. Like I would say, India is not a very high trust society, but also not low trust society. Like that is a very black and white way of looking at it. So I would say we are mid trust. So corruption. But what happens if that corruption goes out of hand? It's not like Japan does not have corruption, or South Korea does not have corruption, or like, Korea, it's North Korea also does not have corruption. Like everybody has it. It's just how much. Little bit, it's like minor inconvenience. Major, bad. Like if you go too much, you go into what we classify as complete ruin, meaning no matter the money. Again, that's why I specified. People have this very warped perspective. It's like only if we gave money to solve the problem. We did. Everybody did. India did. Every country that got themselves out of the ditch, they realized that, hey, you guys helped me out. And again, it's a collective, what you call, contract between the world. Every party is like, hey, when you were down, we helped you. You gotta help somebody else when they are down. Like, and again, it's a good agreement to have. It's a wise, long-term wise is really wise, because again, if country keeps collapsing, you're gonna have an immigration crisis, much worse than giving some money back. It's almost like an insurance payment. So For example, let's say you look into South Africa. It's not like they did not receive money. They received bonkers amount of money, bonkers, like huge amount of money. Why did not they grow? Again, corruption. Not, it's not magical. It's not like, oh, we had this. It's like, this meme is from Africa, where it's like, corruption is not bad if you are part of it. And again, it does make sense. Like, I keep saying this, politicians are one of the most smartest people in order to, like, if you want to figure out how to make money. It does not matter where they are born. It does not matter they could be born in South Africa and they still be rich. They could be born in Venezuela, they still would be rich. They could be born in freaking Russia, they still would be rich. They could be born in India, they will be rich. They will be born in America, they will be filthy rich. They will be rich. So let that be very clear. Now again, some amount you can deal with it. Too much creates a ruin. Like, for example, this is a very funny meme. Is like, we will ensure that COVID funds are not misappropriated. That was in March 2020. We will launch a commission to recover the stolen COVID funds July 2020, sorry. That did not take months. So this was the, Chad, you are corrupt, you are sentenced to guillotine. For how long? Just wait until news cycle moves over. That's the whole point of it. It's like, trust is very vulnerable to it. It is powerful. Like, it can take a nation from ruin and repair them. Again, same happened with Germany. It was ruined, like shift deleted kind of ruin, and they recovered. That's the whole point. If trust is there and is maintained, and again, let that be clear, it does not mean that Germany does not have any corruption. Of course, they have scandals. Ask a German, they will be like, yeah, list. Here's the list. So that's the reality of it. It's just that how much. If it's, within the tolerance, let's just say 20%, you good, you can survive. If it's below 90, basically below 10%, you're really good. But if it's 50%, yeah, you're barely working. If it's like 60-70%, you're dead. You basically actively dying. So that's the vulnerability of it. Like, trust is the currency and it is very vulnerable. So position of power, this is the place where people pay attention to. And one thing you have to understand, there is no such thing as power. Like, Putin does not have power. It's not like, you shoot AK-47 at Putin and Putin is like, tweet, 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 I'm Superman. That does not happen. So that's the reality. It's not a tangible thing. It's not a like Iron Man armor that you wear. So that it's not a power. Basically, it's what we call trust and belief of other people put onto you. Now, this does make us vulnerable to our own stupidity. For example, let's just say you could have two candidates, right? One candidate is bad for you, one candidate is good for you long-term wise. But the good candidate does not have the charisma. The charisma is not 100x. So he can barely get people to follow him. But the one that is bad for you has charisma 10x. And he's like, yo, I'm going to give you brain damage. You're going to believe me. And like, people vote for him. And the country dies. So it's one of those things you have to understand. How the heck this bad person got that? He did not. These people gave him the power. And it's like people say, if people are not smart and wise, democracy does not do much well. That's the whole point of it. Because you give the power. And again, if you are misled, or if you just do not have enough horsepower in your hair, as in like you are actively thinking things through, and like you are suffering from the worst sin of humanity, that is what we call intellectual laziness, like you're not applying gears in here, yeah, you can willingly create a democracy and willingly destroy it by your own hands. So let that be very clear. There is no such thing as power. Individuals do not have power. The trust and faith everybody puts in that individual makes that individual unstoppable. And the position of power is dangerous by very design and by its very nature. It is dangerous. Why? Here's the deal. How do you know someone is an honest individual or not? Well, you will say, put a camera on them. Here's the deal. Honest individual is only found when you do not have a camera. For example, you dropped your wallet. Cool, awesome. And after that, you basically realize that you have somebody phones you. It's like, hey, I found your wallet. Here's the deal. If this has happened in a place where, let's say, there were a lot of security camera, you almost expect it. You almost expect that should happen. But imagine it's in a place where there is no camera, but somebody still called you. You know that person is inherently what you call honest, flat out. So that's the whole point. If you remove cameras, are you honest? If nobody is watching, if there is no consequence on you, are you honest? Are you a decent person? Position of power is one of those scenarios where that's constraint, that camera is removed. We do not know how we are. Like, heck, you do not know who you are. I do not know who I am unless I'm put in that position of power. So that's the inherent nature of it. The position of power is inherently dangerous. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're not scared of it, you're not suited for it. So fundamentally, why it's so bad? Well, it brings out the worst impulse of, basically it gives us freedom to act. Like, What if you want to do things and you can do things and there is no consequence for you? Like you literally own the judges. You do things. So that's the whole point. Freedom to act that is granted to an individual by trust and belief of so many peoples, it's a very dangerous thing. And we have learned this the hard way. It's a tale as old as time. Basically, village chief have caused destruction to the villages. Prime minister has caused kings, queen, whatever, go YOLO on it. We have more than enough historic evidence, and it's almost like humans do dumb things when they get exposed to this much power. Duh. Water is wet. Duh. So that's the whole point. Now, here's the deal. Why the heck humanity, as a cultural point, tolerate danger of this sort of power? Why do we create prime minister and this and all that? Yeah, we learned that also hard way, actually much harder way, that society needs leader. It could be a priest, it could be something, but it has to be there. So it's one of those things, because if you do not have that, chaos will eat. Chaos is going to have some fun, and it will not be like chaos is a ladder. It won't be like that. So it's bad. And so what did we humans do, right? We realized this paradox, right? Position of power is needed. Position of power is dangerous. So what can we do? Well, we created what we call checks and balances to protect it all. Now, here's the right now, at this point in time, Russia has acknowledged, as in yeah, this is true, that more than 250,000 young active body Russian men have been kaputted, deleted. Now, here's the deal. Who is responsible for that? Is Putin responsible for that? No. Those people are. How? Well, here's the deal. Putin got into office, right? The first thing he does is removes the checks and balances that was put on there. For example, term limit. He goes there and it's like, okay, I'm going to be God Emperor by 2036. If this 250,000 Russian people were like, you know what? No, sir. You are not above the constitution. Again, by design, constitution is designed in such a way. It's like if somebody throws it away, people has to power to actually overthrow the government, and they have to do it, because failure to do so, read history. So they did not. Who is responsible? Well, again, you had a situation, you had a structure built in there to safeguard you. Like again, Xi Jinping is like, I'm gonna be God Emperor for a lifetime. Again, now all the political opponents that it inside the CCP and all the public that's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean your PP is so small that you need to be emperor forever? So they did not do anything, and if tomorrow he triggers another war and so many people die, it would be their fault. And again, China is dead. They had one-child policy. Anybody who knows mathematics, that's like, yeah, that's a 90-year death sentence. Now they have three-child policy. Nobody's having it. And they have a let it rot movement. How do I know that this movement is real and not Western propaganda? He's saying that. Don't do that. That means it is really happening. He broke country. Basically, he broke the country. Faith-wise, we can grow and thrive. Yeah, not there. On top is everything is awesome, but that should be the biggest red alert. If you ever see everything is awesome, everything is great, run. So the country is broke from the inside. They show, oh, we have this amazing things. What they have is tofu direct project. Oh, we have this growing economy. Middle class is destroyed, and lower class is God help them. So flat out, people are just like, yeah, let's not have kids, let's not have anything, let's just all wait to die. And again, I'm not saying this is them saying it. Let it rot movement. Google it if you want to. And this guy, 30 years, Belarusian president claims he's not clinging to power. Bro, 30 years have passed. Let it go, man. That's one generation, by the way. 30 years generally classified as one generation. One lifespan is 90 years. Bro has crossed one generation. And again, there is some other age-limited guy is like, no, I want to be in power forever because I have small PP energy. So how do we check it, right? How do we check it? Well, here's the deal. It will always happen in your front of you. There will always be some guys like, no, I must stay in the power. And that's the time you get the disc brake. Apply the disc brake, hand brake, you will survive. Failure to do so, you die. Succession is the best way to analyze this. For example, let's just say Trump. Is Trump a good system or, power-hungry madman? If Trump willingly, comfortably is like, bro, I did 2 terms, me done, me good, me chill, me out. This guy will go, let's say JD Vance will go in next, my next GG. That's it, good. Yellow zone would be he's like, no, I'm going to do 2nd term because technically my 1 term was not complete. That's a yellow zone. Red zone would be if he tries to do the 3rd term. At that point in time, Americans have to kaput him. Failure to do so will destroy the nation. So, you see, you will always get red alerts like that. If a country has one leader for way too long and there is no active succession, where it's this will happen, this is the false structure, yeah, you did. Like, why do you think Soviet Union collapsed? Well, it did not collapse from outside, it collapsed from inside. Why? Stalin was like, you're gonna kaput him, he's gonna kaput you, and I'm gonna kaput both of you, and I'm gonna be ultra kaput because I'm small pp energy, and I'm gonna kaput everybody because I'm God, I'm never gonna die. It's like, oh, you rot and die. There was no backup plan. There was no succession. Succession is the easiest way to figure out whether you have an actual healthy structure of power or corrupt one. There must be a succession, and like proper healthy one, where it's like, people are gonna get this, people are gonna get like this, and people have to react on it. By the way, Iran also had oh, I'm saying Iran. Iraq also had democracy. That's how Saddam Hussein got into power. Now we come to the most priceless asset and the part that has been destroyed in the modern world. Like if somebody asks me like, what is broken in this world right now? That's the good faith part. As in, good faith is the bedrock of basically mutual trust. Flat out, there is nothing without it. For example, if you go to someone and it's like, I'm going to give you this money and you're going to give me a candy, are you actually going to sue them if they do not? Realistically, you won't. So that's the reality. You always have to rely on good faith, always. And what does good faith mean? It simply means both parties are honestly and kindly dealing towards each other. Meaning, they're like, hey, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, we both grow. That's the whole point of it. Both grow, not one, both. That's the whole point. And is there a benefit to good faith? Well, yes. First, this is the backbone of every legal argument. That's the first thing. Good faith, yes or no. Second, shield partnership, as in the partnership, somebody will make a mistake, right? Duh, it happens. But here's it. In a good faith argument, let's just say I'm a shopkeeper and somebody is buying goods from me and I forgot to charge them properly. And they come back, it's like, yo, man, I think you forgot, it's supposed to be this much. It's like, cool, awesome. It saves him, saves me, everybody wins. And I will do the opposite also when it's like, he overpaid and took some less goods. They're like, whoa, you forgot this and all that. So this is what we call good faith. And it shields the partnership and prevents exploitation. Exploitation is a very corrosive disease. Good faith is the only cure we have. Stay in the good faith, everybody wins. It will not tempt you. But good faith cracks, exploitation happens, and everybody dies. So it's one of those things. And many times people, again, I would say this dumb idea has got into public perception, zeitgeist, so to say, is that you should create a contract and all that. It's like you cannot, let that be very real. You cannot practically guard against every eventuality. Like for example, I wanted to do what we call association of person without individual to make something. Cool, awesome. Here's the deal. The argument we had, like that actual printed document, that was like 3 pages. By the time it went through my lawyer and their lawyer and this and that, it became freaking 19-page document. But again, did that cover everything? No, it's just like some big events one, because at some point it's just like, yeah, it's a leap of faith. You got to take a leap of faith. You've seen that TV show Suits, and they're like 800-page document. Yeah, that's very little. That's very little. So let that be very clear. At the end of the day, you have to take a leap of faith, otherwise you will not move. It's the same point. It's like, how do you make a perfect system? Don't make it. That's the perfect thing. So what does it mean? That's why I'm saying like this has destroyed. Like in America, somehow managed to create this brain virus, successfully export it to worldwide. It is basically, if company is thriving, everybody should be thriving, not just 1%. That was logical contract. That was the good faith argument between people who are willingly to work in one place. For example, this is the graph that shows how quickly USA is dying. It's basically CEO to worker compensation ratio. For example, back in the 1960s, which was the golden era, they were like, if you are making $1, your CEO would be making 20. Sounds bad, but good. Nowadays, basically after the Reagan did some bad decision, it shot up to 300. As in year 2000 is 300. And this is recent year. If I'm not mistaken, this is year 2022. Let me give you a concept. If you are in a company like Walmart, average dude pay is 27K. According to this chart. Cool. Here's the deal. What is that for 1%? The executive class, the CEO and all that. Yeah, it's 933x. Take that 23, multiply by 933. That's their compensation. And that's the low one, by the way. It goes stupid. Like for example, Apple, what is their like C-class executive, how much they make versus the workers, how much they make. That is like 84. That gets 84K multiplied by 1,177. That's just dark. Then you have Western Digital. Western Digital goes from 10K, that is the average pay, to 3,332. And there is this weird company which I have never heard of, maybe Live Nation Entertainment Corporation. That's 1:5,000. That was never the deal. That was never the contract. Social contract, the goodwill contract. Goodwill contract is Chinese have this proverb: rising tide rises all boats. For example, should a CEO make more money? Of course they should. That's why nobody has a trouble with 20x, 30x. People started to press a red alert if it started to reach 60 or 70 or 100. That time they're like, yo, this will destruct the country. The idea is, if your company is making profit and you have everything, which again, look into all of these companies, they are printing money. Heck, Coca-Cola is like what, 12K for employees, and they are making a executive class is at 1,883. Damn. So the idea is executive still makes more, but lower one also gets something. Right now, these companies have become so corrosive where they're like, hey, what if we leech that? Like the whole ethical point is, you have to understand, oh, they should work for promotion. That's not realistic. Let's say my father worked in a bank. Is it actually viable for every clerk to become managers? Hell no. Now, in the early days, it was possible simply because bank was expanding, but eventually it will reach a saturation point, and that will not be viable. You cannot expect every employee in Microsoft to be like, hey, I'm going to join here, I'm going to best of the best of the best. Everybody thinks that is the best of the best of the best of the best. That's not happening. Physics wise, it's not happening. But then why they are working? They were working on good faith. What is that good faith? The good faith is, if company does good, all our packages grow. And I mean the baseline. I do not, let this be very clear, I'm not asking the lowest, like let's just say, lowest performing employee to be like, okay, rewarded in billions or 10x. No, but like if company makes 100x, how about CEO takes 10x? But 1 to 2x still goes down to like, employees. Like employees should also rise. Right now, it is so bad in America, even in India, where companies are like, you are literally becoming poorer by working there. You are literally becoming poorer. Why? Because they know what is the inflation number is. Even though government is under reporting it, their stock value is going up. Their revenue, which they are filing tax against, that is also growing exponentially. And they're like, hey, how about we don't pay you? How about we say inflation is the reason? Even though company made revenue, that's the whole point of the revenue. You share it to your employee because again, they gave you time. You took a risk, that is true, but they gave you time. You cannot return them time. And that was the good faith argument. It's like, hey, if company does good, I do good. Not this like, oh, you do good, me die. Me become poor, even though you are like, you are buying one yacht. One yacht pays for a whole corporation's salary for years. That's how ludicrously expensive yachts are. One yacht. And these bastards have like multiple of them. It's like, bro, you have one ass. So that's the whole point. This number is the dangerous part. Nobody has issues like, hey, you should make 10 times more than your employee. Again, like I think, again, I heard, I hope, I pray this is correct, that Valve does that. Whereas like, as the company grew and successful, they actually made down like, everything. Like again, Gabe Newell became richer, but he was like, hey, let's trickle it down. Trickle it down. Hey, you are there, you make money. Your base salary goes up. Base salary should always go up. And again, ideally, if your company is exponentially growing against inflation, that's the whole point. That's why people should be working there. This rot where they're like, no, what if I, the customers, like, the employees, that's not good faith argument. And again, you go to any court system, that's the first line of it. You cannot, describe the concept, what you call, cannot inscribe everything in the constitution or a agreement. That's not the point of it. Point is, they have to understand that like these people should grow if the company is growing. I'm not expecting, oh, company is going down, these should people should be still be compensated. Hell no. Company bad, they bad. Company good, they are not bad, because if company was doing better, this means they are performing. If they are not, your company will not be doing it. That's all saying now. You take care of your employee takes care of the customer. That's the whole point. So this line is the rotten part. Like they're like, no, you should work for free, and I should get my 7th yacht. I'm like, one yacht has that much money tied up into it. They could easily compensate for everybody. It's like, bro, just go home, man. Like take once a nice week break. Who cares? That's how much money they are talking about. So that good faith erosion destroyed the whole country. And again, this virus is spreading. So what can we expect? Well, here's the deal. There is another variable which you call future. So in this variable, you have to understand why we humans are humans, not animals. Well, we can see the future. And I do not mean like, okay, animal is running here, it's going to jump, that's the future. That's the motion trajectory. Animals are good at it. However, you have to understand that we can see much further ahead, as in years ahead. So we have learned the hard way that we must toil today, as in work your ass off today, so you can have a better future. Now, why is that? Well, here's the deal. We have learned this also the hard way, that tomorrow comes today very quickly. For example, when I bought this OLED, it was a very big expenditure. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, LG CX55 inch, and I was like, I knew that OLED is not a long-lasting technology. It will burn out. I did not anticipate like the whole upper section has like started to char, lower section starting to char. I knew about it, but that was in the future. Future is here. So it happens with the same everything. Like for example, if you want to invest, the best time is 40 years ago. Like that's the same thing with trees. It's like, what is the best time to plant a tree 30 years ago? What is the next best now? And we have learned this the hard way. So like, what's the best time to invest? Now. So we have learned this, like, tomorrow becomes real very soon. Now, again, nobody is saying go full 100% on tomorrow. That's also not wise, but always have this balancing act and never ignore it. Let that be clear. You can like live 50% in present and 50% in future. That's okay, but you cannot be like 100% in present and 0% in future, which again some cultures do, and you can easily find them in tribal architectures. And again, that's why they are in tribal architecture. They are not projecting themselves in the future. That's a luxury. Like if you are blessed, you have culture, as in like your elders worked their ass off. They worked for the future, and their ancestor, no, their descendant kept that tradition, and you got that tradition. That's a gift. So that's the whole point. Now, why is that a gift? Well, here's the deal. I'm going to tell you the most absolute truth about humanity and life. Life is suffering. The end. If anybody tells you otherwise, either they are salesmen, they are selling you something, or they hate you. To destroy some individual, convert this into a lie, and they will be destroyed. This is an absolute truth. Life is suffering. However, toiling for a better future is one of those a few tricks that we have to make it tolerable. Meaning, you are saving money. Cool, awesome. But why does it feel good to do so? Well, you know what? In a rainy day, it will help you. Now, of course, nobody says like save 100% of what you have, but like, save some for rainy day. That helps you. Again, investing. Why does it feel good? Why does it give you that dopamine hit? Because again, saves you. Like again, it does not give you a big chunk of dopamine hit, but it does give you. And once you get into that feedback loop, once you had like invested like 1 year, generally it takes 1 year for index fund to like positive, always be in green. Early few days it will like red, 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 maybe green, red, red, red. So you have to wait a year. But once you go that, it's like, hey, it makes it tolerable. Like I'm just saving the money away. It should be painful, but it's not. It's tolerable. It's why? Working for a better future. That gives you that oxytocin system. So is tolerable and sometimes even desirable. Like why people enjoy going to the gym? They are working for the future. That future will never arrive. It's just a chase. But that chase is the fun part. So that's the gift that future gives you. Like life is suffering, but toiling for it becomes pleasant if you are working for a future. I've worked for a lot of things, and again, a lot of half-done projects. But again, each of those projects was an extra project based on my like main YouTube is the main thing, and then I did the side project. Each of them, brick by brick, day by day, allowed me to expand my skill set. That was pleasant. Even though it was suffering in the moment, it was like, oh damn, how much hard work I have to do. But it was pleasant. So, same thing you have to understand. Life is suffering. The only way you can make it tasty is by dealing with your future. Now, again, you have to balance it out. Nobody is saying 100% future, but like minimum 50-50, 60-40, go YOLO on that. But you have to have future in mind. And here's the dark part of it. Because again, we need position of power. When people who are in position of power, they think what we call chasing short-term gains, it has drastic consequences. It's almost like going into Iran and it's like, we're gonna build a dams. It's like, sir, you cannot build a dam. Dam will boil away the river. No, we're gonna build dams because it's gonna look good. I'm gonna look sexy, and people are gonna starve to death. So that's the whole point. The consequences are devastating. Let that be very clear. Like for example, this CEO of General Electric, apparently he's the one who created that paradox where it's like, hey, what if you F your own employees, and what if you F the customer and you become rich? So before this, the idea was very simple. It's like, hey, you become rich, company become rich, everybody becomes rich. That's the whole point of working. That's why they are working. There is like this, we have almost like a vicious, chicken and mouse game where it's like, no, I have to exploit you. It's like, no, that's not the whole point. Like you should get richer. If you are opening a company or running you should get richer. You should not be that black hole of an individual where it's like, just like that's gluttony. So he created that and took a company that was known with America, like America, General Electric, building dams, building nuclear power plants, building planes, building everything under the sun, to we lost all the manufacturing because this guy's cost cutting. Again, they knew what they were doing. It's just like, hey, stock goes up, acquisition and all that. What did it lead to? He retired with a boatload of money. Company turned to dust, and now the company has like, oh, okay, we exported this branch, we exported that. Again, acquisition. There was no backbone. There were no re-strengthening of that. Like, no, we are making it stronger. We are making it stable. Like, for example, if he were in Honda, Honda would have never created a project where it's like, okay, we have a lot of good people, let's work on rocket systems. So far, we have future technologies and all that. And again, it will have a lot of trickle down technologies. No, like, let's buy and acquire and all this, and he will become rich, and then everybody dies. Or Enron, or this guy, hydrogen truck. Again, if I know hydrogen has 7 megajoule per liter, I can guarantee you there were more than enough investors who knew that this was a scam. But they were like doing what we call short-term pump and dump, meaning they bought it, as in like they pumped, and once the number went high, dump it, eat, everybody dies. Same with Theranos. There is no way. And be mindful, there were doctors who were screaming. It's like, bro, you cannot do that. That's not how blood works. And again, this hyperloop, which again, to be fair, like I've been screaming about it for 7 years ago. What does that mean? That means every investor knows. So why they are investing into it? Why they are investing millions of dollars? Well, they are investing millions. So you invest billions, and they will get their multiplication. They're going to dump it at IPO point, and you die. So that's the whole point. We have to think of the future. All of these people who are in position of power, the investors specifically, if all of them started to become so short-sighted, they're going to die a rich man, and their civilization is going to be rotten and falling apart. It's not good. Again, I think the loss of family unit was the biggest disaster for humanity, because I have no idea why the heck these people just lost the idea of future. It's like, aren't you supposed to, like, the more power you have, the more you do? Even dictators do that. Like, sometimes, oh, we're going to have this and we're going to have that. That's going to under my name. Like, yacht will not be named after you. So something is like broken, and the only thing that I can place that has that sort of collateral damage is the loss of family unit. But again, is disaster, and that's why I'm so angry at people. I'm not angry at Elon Musk when he smokes. Says like, okay, I'm going to drill a tunnel, and sir, you're going to drill a tunnel. We're going to have a road going through there. No, that would be practical. We're going to have a people mover. Oh, cool, awesome. Like, we're going to have a metro. No, that would be logical. What if we have one car slowly moving through it? Not even on track, because it's not driverless. Oh, self-driving car company does not have a driverless tunnel driving system. I have no problem with Elon Musk smoking. I have problem with people supporting him. Common public is like, let's burn money. Dude, your short-term thinking will destroy the goddamn country you are living in. This should not have happened. This should not have happened. This should not be going on right now, where I know what will be the outcome of it. But that's the whole point. So this was my presentation on basically diversity versus progress, and like why trust and good faith is the core of it. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share amongst friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.